A negativity, especially on social media, it has a way of spreading like a wildfire.
Yes.
Virality, if it careless, it most
Yes.
likely will spread viral.
If it's toxic,
Yeah.
if it's dysfunctional,
Chat people, disrespect, it have a way of going viral very easily. Well, we are trying to make positivity viral. Today, we've decided to highlight the work of a young lady named Brianna Vernon, who opted out of her 9 to 5, this must be stepping out on faith, to launch an online platform which solely promulgates positivity and faith-based content. Now, through blogs, social commentary, devotionals, and more, she's motivating her viewers and readers to embrace their positive identity, to think independently, and most importantly, to have faith in Almighty God. Help us welcome author, founder, editor-in-chief, executive producer of Noble Media Network, Brianna Vernon. Brianna.
Hello.
good morning and
You're
welcome.
mad. You're
No,
mad.
she is faithful.
Is,
Lord.
is which God come and tell you in your ears,
See,
sir?
God will answer.
Yes, great is thy faithfulness.
Tell us where, the moment like you were sure that God was telling you, left your work and go and do this.
All right, so it was early last year, 2024. And, you know, when I was at my 9 to 5, I knew that God brought me there. So I always said, whenever I leave, it would be on God's time, right? And so, you know, you always get that feeling when you know God is telling you to do something, right? You get
the
that
nudge.
peace, that nudge. And so I went ahead early last year. And the thing is, I always knew that whenever I left, I would have started my own media brand. I even had the name Noble Media Network, right? And so initially, when I started, it was just the social commentary podcast, the independent report. But as I was doing it, I realized, I love media, but the passion seems to not be there, which is weird because I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Fast forward now to later, last year I was at my family home in the living room with my mom, and we were watching TBN. You know, that's
My mother still
that's the International Christian Network.
Yes, man.
And
Lady
I
March, good morning.
I was so surprised to see that they were doing journalism, of course, faith-based journalism. And so I turned to my mom, like I turned into you now, and I said, that is TBN. And even my mother said that she saw the wheels in my head started to turn. Because of course, you know, I've been a believer in Christ since 15.
Wow.
And so mixing my love for media now with journalism and with my faith, I was like,
Perfect.
this is it. And so I even went into the bedroom and I'm like, I started to plot. I'm like, God, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this? And I just knew from that point on, you know, and here we are.
But as you're a young woman, right? I mean, we're all young, but you know, you're
Yes.
younger. It's so easy or so much easier to delve into what is trending. And what is trending is normally, as Dennis mentioned before, the hate, the negative, and all of that. And unfortunately, we now live in a world where negativity, toxicity, and dysfunction pays a lot of money. So
Yes.
sometimes even persons on the media, Dennis, who are promulgating this negativity and toxicity, they might even too want it or like it. But at the end of the day, it pays and pays a lot.
It's the good metric.
Yeah. So what would make you now, outside of God, go to this positivity where it seems like a lot of people not seem to gravitate toward it, or maybe your research says differently?
Purpose.
Ah.
You see, when you have purpose and when you are so focused on it, it's very hard to stray without feeling, you know, like you are not living your
Betraying
calling.
yourself, yes.
Exactly. And then, of course, I realized, you know, in Jamaica, this is lacking. So this is a niche that I can now plug that gap. And I said, all right, you know, for example, the US has CBN, you know, Christian Broadcasting Network, TBN, all those. Jamaica will now have Noble Media Network, focusing on faith-based content.
So it's a faith-based, like what you put on there. So for somebody who has never gone on your channel or gone on your page, like what is it that you put out?
It is mainly focused on biblical principles.
Okay.
But we call it faith-based because it is not necessarily, you know, the aim is not necessarily to convert, but to encourage persons to walk out their God-given purpose. Because the thing is, even with Christianity, what we have to understand is each person has a different destiny that God has called them to, and it might not look as yours look or you or mine, and that doesn't mean that they're not in their calling. And so Noble Media Network is really influencing persons to think independently, as you mentioned before. That's a big part of our mandate. Think independently, be authentic. Not because you're a Christian and I'm a Christian means say we are clones.
Yeah,
So
the religious dogma.
That's it. So that's a big part of what we're doing.
In terms of content production and, for instance, journalism, storytelling from a Christian or a faith-based perspective, tell us how persons who are watching this conversation and saying, but I produce content and I don't have nowhere to put it, or I don't have a platform that's very accessible right now, how might persons then say, all right, I'm going to approach her because I think maybe my calling or my purpose is aligning with hers? Or like content creators, how are you partnering or willing to partner with them as a media network to produce more?
And it's so interesting because since I've launched, persons have already been reaching out to me. They want to come on and encourage other persons. So they can literally reach out to me via email, Instagram. On Instagram, it's Noble Media Net. The email is noblemedianetwork@gmail.com, website noblemedianetwork.com. And if you are someone who you really believe that God has called you to encourage other persons, you can reach out to me as other persons have. And let's see, we can find a slot.
What's the feedback you've been getting? Because, again, sometimes it's perception and it may be untrue, because I know that there are people out there who are positive, persons who have an elevated spirit and want that positivity. What has the media, the feedback been like from your viewers, from those persons who consume your content?
Because guess what I have observed as well, as you said, that a lot of persons, they are positive and they want that outlet, but they didn't have the space to really showcase that about themselves. And so when I launched, I saw a lot of persons reaching out to me. How can I, be a part of this? Can you interview me? Can you highlight this that I'm doing, faith-based creators? And so they have always, wanted that space, that outlet. And so when I launched, it's like they're saying, thank God, finally.
And people want to get up and also know, I can go to Noble Media Network. I'm going to get something positive for the day, and I just know where to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, there are persons, we have to accept that we live in an era of social media.
Yes.
There are persons who are looking for, they might be saying, look here, I'm going to clean up my timeline. I'm going to unfollow some things that I need to unfollow. But I need to replace that. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not into social media. I need to follow some content or subscribe to some content.
That's uplifting and positive. Yeah.
So, I mean, how might people be directed to your content and not beyond liking and subscribing to really plug into what you're doing?
So even the type of content we have, right? So as they go on the Instagram page, Noble Media Net, let's start off with Sunday. Sunday is a morning talk show, Talk More Soon, where I'm basically helping persons to, understand how they can become the highest version of themselves, self-actualization, right? That goes to the character that you have, that you're building for yourself, that goes to the skill sets, right? That's Talk More Soon at 10 a.m. Sundays, bi-weekly. Then on Monday, this is one of my favorite ones, Prayer Walk, every Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. It's a mini audio devotional where it's basically for, those of us who have to wake up early in the morning, like you guys. And you listen while you're getting ready for work, getting your children ready for school, and you're listening and you're getting that encouragement, because sometimes you really can't spend 1 hour, unfortunately, before the Lord. So that's what Prayer Walk is for. Now and then Wednesday, we speak with different persons for feature interviews, so persons who are really doing well in their field. We're highlighting them from a faith-based perspective. So these are believers in God.
Well, I want to highlight your book as well. You recently launched this book, Safe and Sound, 31 Days of Healing Inspiration. What led you to write this devotional?
All right, so this devotional is basically helping persons to overcome anxiety, right? And of course, anxiety has different layers. So if you are someone who is really battling with it and you need additional help, definitely get that from a therapist or a psychiatrist. But then we're now speaking about the layer of anxiety where sometimes we think ourselves into an anxious rut because we have an unhealthy thought life. And that has been kind of my case, especially when you have a personality that is kind of, you're a perfectionist, and so you're planner, and your mind is going like so fast. And so you will find yourself, without even realizing, in an anxious rut.
Right.
And so what the book is doing now, 31 days, from day 1 to day 31, it is presenting a question to you. For example, it's saying, in what area can I forgive myself today? In what area can I set a boundary? And it is leading you to face yourself.
Right.
To not run from that inner turmoil, but to face yourself.
Where can we buy it?
You can buy it on Amazon right now. Safe and Sound, 31 Days of Healing Inspiration, Brianna Vernon. Hoping soon to get it in stores here on the island.
Right. I love
right,
that. Positivity is what you need, and I'm happy that you are one of those purveyors of that, because you know, far too often we just leave ourselves to the darkness, and the truth is, if we don't turn on the light, we cannot get rid of the darkness. So
Exactly.
Yes.
congratulations to you, Brianna. All the
Thank
best.
you.
Our guest this morning
Big up.
has been Brianna Vernon, author, founder, editor-in-chief, and executive producer of Noble Media Network. Stay tuned.